Hey everybody, I'm Scott, and this is my YouTube channel Stamping Scott. Thanks for joining me today with my video using the Stampin' Up! Ever so popular Stamparatus. This is one of my most favorite tools I use for card making, and I have a fun card to share with you today utilizing this tool. I hope you'll join me. Hey everybody, welcome back to my craft room. I am so excited today to share with you a very simple card that you get to utilize the Stamparatus. This is the card that we're going to be making today. And you can see right here, it's a very simple card with a couple different layers using Cherry Cobbler, Whisper White, Early Espresso, and of course, one of my favorite neutrals in the whole world, it's Crumb Cake. It's that kind of year. This is also featuring a stamp set called Beauty and Joy, and this is in our new holiday catalog. And if you haven't checked it out, please check it out on my website, stampingscott.stampinup.net. There it is. I really like the versatility of the stamp set because you can use it for many different things. Thanksgiving, Christmas, you could even use it for some spring cards too, because these leaves could be any color. So you could continue to use it after the holiday season. One of the reasons why I like versatile stamp sets like this, and I love doing demo videos on stamps like this as well. So I'm so excited that I'm doing a video, you guys. This is so exciting. It's been so long. Let's get started. During this video, I'm actually going to be doing 2 cards at one time, especially since it's Stamparatus. Stamparatus makes it easy to do many cards at one time because you can do those stamped images over and over again. So I have a surprise. Some of you might be waiting for it, some of you may not, but I'm excited about it. It's our brand new Stampin' Trimmer. It's totally redesigned, very excited about it. I find it really easy to use, and it has both a scoring blade and a cutting blade. This arm reaches out if you like to use our designer series paper, so you can extend the arm out to have more width to be able to do some cutting. So today we're going to use it to cut our cardstock, our 8.5 by 11 cardstock. This is Crumb Cake. And we're going to cut it down to 5.5 inches. Go here to 5.5. We're going to use the brown blade here, which cuts it. It cuts just like butter. And I've heard that if you do designer series paper, you can cut more than one sheet at a time, which is really great. Okay, I had to get my numbers down. Sometimes I forget to write numbers down. So we started with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and we cut it down to 5.5 by 8.5. And we have 2 pieces, just like that. So now what I want to do is score it at 4.25. So I'm going to go here into my new Stampin' Trimmer and go to 4.25, which is right here. Put it down, and I'm not going to use the the brown one. I'm going to use the scoring blade, which is the gray one, and just go by it once, and that should be enough. All right, then we're going to do the next one. 4.25, just like that. And we're going to use the gray one to score. Bloop, just like that. I like making little sound effects. Look at how easy that is. So then, of course, when we fold our cardstock, we always fold it down. In my previous videos, you've seen me do this, but we used a different tool. There we go. So today we're using the Stampin' Trimmer to both trim our cardstock and to score it. How cool is that? Can you believe these are only $25? I just about flipped out. I'm like, that is a really good deal. You can buy replacement blades. I believe it's a 3-pack. It's all on my website, stampingscott.stampinup.net. They just came out. It's a brand new item. I'm very excited for y'all to get a new trimmer. All right, let's go ahead and start making our card. So we are going to use one of my favorite framelits dies. This one is the rectangle stitched framelits. Let me tell you why this is one of my favorite dies. Not only because it gives a stitched effect on the card, but look at how many you get. Well, okay, it's sticky. We have different sizes for different messages. It's a very versatile set. I don't know the exact dimensions of these because I chose them based on what looked right for the card, but I found the 3 in here. And these are the 3 we're going to use today. Okay, so I have Whisper White, which is going to be with that one. And Cherry Cobbler, which is going to go for a little bit larger. And then Early Espresso is going to be the big one. Let's see here. So this is the card. Looking at it, you can see the different layers. And because we're using a Stamparatus today, we're going to go ahead and die cut this part where we're doing our stamping. And the Stamparatus will position it perfectly for us. All right? So through the magic of our video, we're going to go ahead and take this to the big shot, and I will be right back. Wow, that was easy. For those of you that want to see how to use a big shot, you can check out some of my earlier videos where I use a big shot die cutting tool. So here we go. Let's start making the card. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is the fun part. We're going to get out the Stamparatus and have some stamping fun. It actually is. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know how many of you have ever used a Stamparatus before, but this is what a Stamparatus looks like. I'm going to do another tutorial on how to actually use the Stamparatus, but I'm going to give you some tips in this video. First of all, you have 2 plates that come with the Stamparatus. You have 2 magnets, and let me just tell you, do not put these magnets next to each other. They will shatter each other. I am not kidding. Always leave one magnet on the bottom of your Stamparatus and put the other one on the top. For most projects, you're never going to need to use 2 magnets at one time. So it's always nice to have a spare because this one will break if it comes in contact with that magnet. It's just the force of these magnets are so strong that they'll split when they meet. And also we have a foam pad. This foam pad is really nice. You've seen me use it in other videos that I've done for photopolymer stampings. So we are going to indeed do 2 cards today. But one of the cards I'm going to stamp as I go to make sure it's the exact image that I want. So when I'm building it, it's going to look exactly what I predict it to be. And then when I stamp the other ones, I have exactly a process all set into place where I can mass produce a similar image on all of my pieces. So if that makes a little bit more sense, this is a really great way to plan how you want your image to look before it goes. So we're going to stamp and build our Stamparatus design at the same time. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my Beauty and Joy, pull out my first stamp, which is my tree leaves. Okay. We're going to put my image down, and I'm putting it exactly in the corner, so that way this is a perfect position and it's predictable where it's going to go. The first part of my pattern of this Beauty and Joy stamp set, which is the leaves of the bush. I think it's called a bush. I'm pretty sure it's called a bush. I'm not exactly sure. Would that be a tree or a bush? I'm not really sure exactly. Maybe you guys can put in the comments below what you think that is. I just thought it was a cute card, but I think it's a bush, but maybe it's a tree in a basket. I don't know. You guys decide. I just thought it was pretty. And just so you guys know too, Stampin' Up! Photopolymer is some of the best photopolymer I have worked with. The staining does not determine the quality. Red will always stain your photopolymer stamps. Yay! All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and take my first plate and I'm going to pull it down, and then it's going to pull up the stamp. Okay, and that's what I want it to do. We're going to get my Cherry Cobbler ink out. Boop. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink it really carefully, just like that. Yeah. Put this back down, make sure that paper is exactly in that corner, and we're going to go ahead and push down. Lift up. Beautiful. Look at how perfect that is. I don't even need to re-stamp it. The Stamparatus is like my favorite tool. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do, and this is with Early Espresso ink, we are going to do the little trunk of the bush or the tree. That's going to be the trivia of this whole video. Is it a tree? Is it a bush? I don't really know. So what I love about the Stamparatus is I can take my photopolymer stamp and just set it down where I would like it to be when I know it's stamped. So it's like, do Do you remember that thing called color forms? When we were a kid, we used to play with the little vinyl things you put on a blackboard. This kind of reminds me of color forms, but what I'm doing is I'm preparing my stamped image ahead of time. I'm just gonna use my fingers lightly. That looks good. I like that. So I'm gonna flip my Stamparatus plate to pick up that other one. And I'm gonna go push it down just like that. I picked it up. Now I'm going to take my early espresso ink and just lightly tap it. There we go. Like this. Oh, got some ink there. That's okay. I do have some wipes handy. And I'm just going to set it down just like that. And lift. Look at how cool that is. It's building. We're building our holiday bush. I have no idea. It's just pretty. Now I'm going to grab my third plate and I'm going to position the basket. Now what I love about these stamps, you guys, is that they have a slight distress about them. So they actually look like they've been stamped multiple times with the same color. I'm going to go ahead and position the basket so the trunk is right on the edge of the basket line. That looks pretty good, actually. I know you're probably thinking, wow, this is taking a lot of work. But once we have our plates positioned perfectly, then we can whip these out really fast. And it becomes really fun. I'm thinking about doing these for the upcoming onstage as my shoebox swap, because then I can produce these really fast. Okay. This color we're going to use Crumb Cake, which is an awesome color. Cherry Cobbler, Crumb Cake, Early Espresso. That's the heart of this card. Those are some awesome colors for the fall. Okay, I'm just going to lightly tap that. Okay. And make sure that's in the right there in the corner. I'm going to put the magnet over the top since the ink is dry. Bloop, right there. Push down, lift up. Look at how perfect that is. See how cool that is? So now we've got our stamped image using the Stamparatus. And now I can make one really quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, how cool is that? This is the best stamping positioning tool I've ever used. I've used quite a few on the market. This is my absolute favorite because of the multiple panels that you can use. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up everything here, and then we'll go ahead and assemble the card. We're almost done. All right. Now do the next step, which is to add this cute little flower to the basket. Now, I thought about doing this with the Stamparatus, but there's just some things you want to hand stamp. So we're going to get our clear block out and do that. Photopolymer is sticking to me today. You know, little things in life just make you happy. Even if they're goofy, they'll still make you happy. Here we go. So I got a little flower stamp on here. And while we're thinking about it, let's go ahead and pull out the So Thankful. There we go. So we got them all ready. So we're going to go ahead and emboss this. We're going to use copper embossing powder. So let me go ahead and get my embossing kit out here. And you know, we've talked about this before. You no longer can get this container, but you can see how much I love it. It keeps my Embossing Buddy, my Versamark, and a container to use my Stampin' Emboss powder. Use the Embossing Buddy. We're just going to go ahead and rub that over the front. Okay. This reduces the static cling, so I don't have embossing powder all over my image. So this is called Versamark, a watermark ink. It's essential for doing embossing. And I'm just going to go ahead and now put that little flower right on top of the basket, just like that. And we're going to do another one, just like that. Cool. That's the Versamark. Then we're going to grab, oh, look at what's in here. We got Stampin' Emboss powder with copper. Perfect. I'm going to put these in my little tray here. Careful not to touch the little flower that's on there. We're going to sprinkle the powder on top of where that general area is. There we go. And we're going to shake it off. There is a song with that I would love to play, but we cannot play that due to copyright. Here we go. There we go. Shake it off. Okay, here we go. You guys do not want to hear me sing. Okay. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and take the contents and put it back in my little container. So I have a lot more embossing powder for later use. All right, so now I've got these on there. Then I'm going to use the heat tool. This is a heat tool right here. Now this isn't the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. I still haven't invested in a Stampin' Up! Heat tool because I have 2 heat tools from 2 different companies. So I guess I should get a third just for the heck of it, but I've had this one for a very long time. And when I was with Stampin' Up! In 2001, I mean, it was a long time ago, this actually came in my kit. And it was before Stampin' Up! Had their own branded heat tool. Please check that out. The heat tool is so important when you do embossing. I'm gonna go and turn it on. And just wait for it to get a little warm. Don't burn yourself, please. And I'm just going to go ahead and hold that there until it changes color. There it goes. It's so much fun to watch. Yay. All right. There is a little stand on here that you can kick up. So that way when you set it down, it won't burn anything in front of it. Just be careful when you use the heat tool, you guys. It's not a hair dryer. It gets a lot hotter than a hair dryer. And a hair dryer doesn't work for embossing because it would blow all the powder away. So you do need the heat tool to do this process, but you can see the investment for 30 bucks, I think it is, to do that. It's worth it. So now instead of having like a little element that I could put there, I had a really cute little stamp that came in the same stamp set that we worked with that I could put on the basket to make it look like it was a raised element, and it's really embossing. Cool, huh? All right. Put my things away so I'm organized for later. Now we're on the home stretch. We are actually going to start assembling. Here we go. And we have our lovely snail. This is the best adhesive to work with. We're going to go ahead and just... Yeah, just a little bit of snail does it. And we're going to position on here. When you're working with rectangles and positioning layers, just take your time to get it as centered as best as you can. There we go. It is handmade, so it doesn't have to be perfect. If it were perfect, we would buy it, right? So remember, the journey is as much fun as the end result. That's my philosophy, and that's why I make videos, because the journey of making the videos makes it fun for me, and to be able to share my experiences with you to maybe inspire you to make something fun like this. I mean, and hey, if you wanted to go ahead and make your own videos, I would love to help you with that too. So, there we go. Because video creation is a lot of fun. There's a whole art to it. And I love YouTube. I'm a huge YouTube fan. I learned so much of everything I know on YouTube, as well as from friends. And so being able to kind of contribute back into the YouTube world, into that platform, is really gratifying, and I enjoy it. So that's the first layer. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our early espresso. And you can see the cards are coming together. Look at that. We are going to take this fabulous ribbon. I love this ribbon. You guys, if you know me really well, there are certain colors I love during the summer and the springtime. In the wintertime, I love cherry cobbler. I can't get enough of it. And lo and behold, in the new holiday catalog, they had a cherry cobbler striped ribbon, and I'm absolutely all over it. So it's going to find its way on this card. Now, this is a little bit Christmas-ish, but because it matches the cherry cobbler cardstock, I thought I could get away with it. And of course, this is cherry cobbler ink. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this around and get my Stampin' Up! Paper snips. And just cut a little bit off for each one, like that. Like that. There we go. Cool. Cool, we're getting closer. There we go. Now we're gonna get our fantabulous Stampin Dimensionals. You need to have these around. Oh my goodness. I don't know what I would do without these. Okay. And always be generous, because the whole point of Stampin Dimensionals is to add dimension to your projects. If you add just one or two, you're going to have a project that doesn't balance out or has lopsidedness to it. And I want to make sure that this dimensional doesn't stick on top of the ribbon. So I'm going to kind of like guess that it's going to be below the ribbon, so it still gives me the support that I need. Stampin Dimensionals do have a little bit of forgiveness to them, so if you start to stick them and you don't push down, you can sort of reposition them, but once you push down hard, they are stuck. Okay. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this. You'll find too that when you make more than one card at one time, especially if you work in twos, it takes you as much time to make 2 cards as it does one. Maybe just a couple more seconds, but not much more. And whenever I do card swaps, this is how I do it. There you go. Make sure that's in the right place. Yep, okay. I have a little tray for these things, and they're nowhere near where my hands are. It's okay. Alright, I'm gonna go. Those release tapes find themselves all over the house. And if you have pets, well, they get taken all over the house. Now that one's a little uneven. I can try to lift it up, but it's at a point where it's now really stuck. So I'm just gonna go with it, because once again, this is handmade cards. I'm not going for perfection. Look at that, we are almost done. We have the sentiment to punch out yet, called So Thankful. So earlier when I went to the big shot off the camera, I have enough room here to stamp out So Thankful. We're gonna get our cherry cobbler. And this is block G. And you never wanna rock your stamps. Just go straight down to the paper and then lift. Look at, perfect. So gratifying when you stamp a sentiment and it just goes out perfectly. You know I'm not using a foam mat right here. I do have a mat on this table that gives a little bit of that release that you need with photopolymer stamps. But really for small images like this, you don't need to have a foam mat. When you have more intricate images, it works better with a foam mat. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a punch. This is called the classic label punch. We used to have one called the message builder punch, and I call this the message builder punch all the time, but it is called the classic label punch. It is in the current catalog. I had to write it down on a piece of paper in front of me, so I would make sure to tell you the exact name for it. Because when you've done Stampin' Up! For a long time, some of the older verbiage comes out, and you're like, oh, Wild Wasabi, we haven't had that color for a long time. Actually, Wild Wasabi was one of my favorite greens of all time, and it was just recently discontinued, but it's been around for over 10 years. But we have a new one called Granny Apple Green, and I love it. So. New is always good. Change is always good, you guys. If everything was the same all the time, we wouldn't have anything fun to share with each other, you know? So change is always good. So I didn't put any dimension on the brown going onto the crumb cake, and that's okay. So we're going to use the snail. I do want to let you guys know that I am working on another holiday Christmas theme card video that I will be posting toward the middle to late month. I've had all the supplies to make the card for like a month now, but I will be posting that video. Because of Onstage Convention coming up, I'm kind of focusing on getting ready for that, but as soon as I get back, we'll find some exciting things that we're going to be seeing next year that we get to see as demonstrators, which is one of the reasons why I love being a demonstrator. And you can also become a demonstrator as well. To check out more about being a demonstrator, go to stampingscott.stampinup.net and hit join, and you'll find out more about becoming a demonstrator. You do get a 20% discount on all the things that you purchase from your website. You also get to share the wonderful craft of stamping. I love it. I've been doing it for a long time. It's kind of like my therapy to be able to stamp. And I do sewing too, you guys know that. That's my therapy as well. I would love to have you on my team. And one of the great things about joining my team is that you become a Pink Stamper, which is a wonderful online group of other stampers that have so much fun and they're so positive and we share so much with each other. And I would love for you to be a part of that with me. Okay, what do you guys think? Was that easy? The Stamparatus definitely helped us make this into a beautiful card. Now if I really wanted to, I could go ahead and stamp off many of these and assemble them like I think I'm going to do for a swap when we go to onstage very soon. But I am really excited to have finally made a video for you guys. It has been a little while, and I'm really happy to continue to share my love of stamping and crafting with you. All the products that I featured in this video today can be purchased on my website, stampingscott.stampinup.net. You can also find me at stampingscott.com. I purchased a domain so you can easily find everything on my shop site with Stampin' Up. Also, make sure that you consider joining my Facebook page, Stamping Scott. As a community, we share creativity and a love for stamping, sewing, crafting, all sorts of fun things. And I love that to be a community that cultivates that type of activities. I just love for you to be a part of this journey with me, and it's exciting to be able to share it with you. So if you love what you see with my videos, give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. Once again, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you really soon. Bye. Today we are doing a step by step. Somehow I got an accent today. A step by step. And I'm just going to take an eyeball, make sure it looks good. And if I mess it up, I can always flip it and do the other side, you know. This is Scott. This is Scott. Why do I keep saying this is Scott? I am Scott. This arm reaches out, so if you have cut... I don't even know what my punchline is. Oh, I should not ad-lib. I think I get into trouble when I ad-lib a lot. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please check out some of my other videos on my YouTube channel, Stamping Scott. See you really soon.